let's talk about aliens. Fascinated with this whole alien thing my entire life. Obviously, we're at the right age, right? We grew up as kids. I did. You know, E.T., Close Encounters, all that shit. Star Wars. I also grew up in a city. So I never looked up at the sky and saw stars, man. But now, it seems like aliens are everywhere. Everywhere. I love the discussion. So when I was in Las Vegas with my parents, you know, stuck up in the room, you know, unable to gamble or drink in Las Vegas, but sat in front of the TV, man, in 1990. I was watching local television. I remember the one week in particular, I happened to be stuck in a room in Vegas when George Knapp did his piece on Bob Lazar. Dennis, as it were. This guy claims he worked at a secret base, man, in the desert. And at the time, like, of course, I'm at that age. I wanted to believe, you know. Hey, how's it going, guys? I believed almost everything he was saying as it was playing out in real time. But I remember there was a piece of me that went, oh, he still could be this flaky dude. They were still telling you weren't seeing Bob clearly that first week, right? They kept him in shadows. Since I was 17, 18 years old in that hotel room in Las Vegas, watching this report about this guy who says he worked on reverse engineering UFOs. And now all this comes to the forefront, right? All this kind of bubbles up 30 some odd years later. There's whistleblowers that some of which seem credible, some of which don't. Now today, a week after the congressional hearings, you know, first time in 50-something years, man, people testified in Congress about UAP. And now, a week later after that testimony, information's starting to trickle out about who believes who and who believes what. And the head of, I heard the report I heard today on Breaking Points was the head of Arrow, the guy who was on Rogan. He's the one guy in this whole thing I'm not sure I like. He's the one who's really seen sketchy. But he called into question the whistleblower's testimony. He said, this guy never brought us anything. Don't know what you're talking about. He's also the guy who went on Rogan and called all of those. He goes, I don't believe that Lazar thing. And that, to me, up to my point and in my life, paying attention to this thing from afar, seemed the most credible. Was Bob's story. So who knows? This is our pre-game discussion. We're about to go on. About the live stream out here. Luskin in Toronto. Talk music once or twice. I told my Elvis story the other day. This time we talked UFOs, for what it's worth. We'll see. See if my opinion changes in my walk. Thank you very much. So, I don't know. I mean, David Fravor and the other pilot, I'm forgetting his name, I watched their podcast. I watched them on Joe Rogan. I mean, they come across as credible pilots, right? They saw what they saw. So there's definitely shit in the sky. It's funny, man. I heard this great. I put up a link to this one time. There was this former CIA guy that was doing the podcast rounds, a young guy, and he's like, drew a great analogy. He said, oh, okay, so we're seeing things in the sky. Now we're assuming they're aliens. So that's one leap that's made, right? Then we assume if they're aliens, they'd want to appear like us, right? They'd appear in something we would understand, which is technology, right? Our ships. But then you're 2 points removed away, right? Like, we're twice removed from there's something in the sky. Therefore, aliens, therefore they would come like us, like that. I don't know, it's a crazy argument, I guess. But I mean, there's obviously something going on, right? Like, I've always believed that there was a conspiracy. I mean, come on, pop culture for crying out loud. So it's like, that guy went and testified at Congress this week. That scene in ID4 is legit, right? When they go into Area 51 and go into the mountain and go, hey man, you got the dead bodies? Let us see it. Even if you roll out a piece of footage now. I mean, I spent 25 years in visual effects, man. I could fake an alien. I could fake a UFO video than better than most, man. I've done it for legit TV shows. You know, I worked on The Expanse. So would you even believe, even if an actual piece of footage came out that was much better quality than these things we're seeing, would you really be able to believe it? I don't know. Any video that shows up, at this point, I'm assuming anyone even getting on TV to talk to me about this could be fake, right? Like, I've seen some crazy deep fakes, man. And never mind deep fakes. I was faking that shit for 20 years, right? Doing face replacement shot. I'm interested in all of it, though, and I'm not sure where it goes. The idea that we're alone out here in the world, I don't know. There's been some new ideas floated up that I never came across before, the interdimensional idea. There's people talking consciousness and universal consciousness, which always seemed very hippie and weird to me, and didn't seem very Star Trek-y, if you will. Question the science. Don't question the science. How dare you question the science?